Do you have like a map room linked with your stream, or okay? That'll definitely fill the rest of the dead air, because like it's good to give people like maybe an idea of what to expect. That's something I like doing. Is I like kind of using my knowledge experience to be like, okay, well, here's what these people could do. Here's what maybe you can expect. Here's XYZ, kind of wild card stuff. All that sort of stuff you can draw on a map and explain as it's going. So. And it'll certainly help, because I don't fucking know these guys, and that'll help a lot, because normally I like to talk about the players and stuff like that, but I have no idea who a single one of these people are. I'll just copy your slides there. Yes. Abbins or Aubins. Yeah. I'm playing on Vile though, so if you want to just like say the team I'm playing, that doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tournament of Stars Season 3, Ristars versus El Coyotes Lobles, the tiebreaker-ish match for Division I. My name is Zane of 2D20, and joining me this week is Bowser of Team Vinyl.
Hello, everybody.
Both the duelists for the 1v1 are here, Team 1 just locking up. Round 1, we're in for a 2v2 in the Mistlinks Trial Mix. Let's get into it.
This is an interesting fight because it is a pure mirror match, something we don't often see in MWO comp. So, competitive in general, frankly speaking, we see a lot of games win or lost in the Mech Lab, even for smaller scale matches. So, this mirror match will be really interesting.
The other one that I kind of love about this, the Mistlinks Trial Mech is mixing machine guns.
Yes.
So if you're able to efficiently use that sort of first burst, you can get a big leg up.
The other thing too is it is ER smalls, which is 20 damage. So I mean, if you get a good 1 or 2 burns with the ER smalls, because they have a bunch of extra range over the MGs, right? So if you're running at each other, you kind of get the extra damage from the ER smalls coming in potentially. You could even skirmish with them if you really wanted to, and depending on how well they land their ER small burns, that could determine the tide of this match.
And for the Cyrizers, we have Snowman 741, and for the Coyotes, we have Kobold Commander, as they just sort of rush headlong into each other here.
It seems like both right now are just going straight at each other. They're jumping on the same building. Yep, they're right in the brawl range here. No skirmishing to be had. Percents are very even, 95-95.
Yeah, just armor damage on the legs.
Right now, Kobold Commander is winning the trades by 6%, which is good. It looks like Kobold Commander's legged, or is ammo exploding? I think he ammo exploded. Yeah, he ammo exploded. Okay. Snowman is legged. He's one shot on the other leg, and Kobold gets it. Well played.
Very well played. Very quick too, which I suppose light mech duels that'll happen.
Yep. His MG burns I think were very good. So that was the main difference. Like looking at the damage here, yeah, you can see he got a lot of extra damage.
But yeah, 92 compared to 160. Get the old things cleaned up here as we head over to Boreal Reach. And that was a win for Snowman?
Yeah, that was a win for Kobold Commander. Coyotes.
Coyotes.
I don't know how to pronounce their name, unfortunately.
Lobos de la Muerte is, I think, how you do it.
Yeah, that sounds right. Okay.
Now, do you want to go to the map tactics and talk a bit about this one while we wait for the teams to get themselves sorted?
I don't know if...
Don't know if we'll have time. The duels tend to be pretty quick.
I don't think Boreal's on this map strat. Oh, it is. Okay. So what we can definitely do is theory craft out the mechs. So if we think about Boreal, just pull it up on the map here real quick. So it's generally considered that the left side, team 1 is considered better because the team 1 high side sees it, like you stand up taller on team 1 than you do on team 2, which means you can potentially see over more hills. So I anticipate that team 1, which in this case is going to be Kakor and Elik from Coyotes, I anticipate they're going to take some range to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
Tonnages are very light, actually. So we do see that both these guys are pretty much ready, very quick. But Kakor and Elik are 90 tons versus Dustin Stormer and Mandalorian 70. So I think we might actually see what I'm talking about play out. Hard to predict what mechs they would bring. Everybody knows the Warhog is extremely strong. We've been seeing that a lot in higher level play, so I would anticipate to see that.
We've been seeing the Vapor Eagle and the Huntsman both making a lot of appearances as the sort of as a medium in these drops.
If my math does not fail me, a Vapor Eagle and a Warhog is 90 precisely. So we might even see that from Alec and Catgirl here.
Yeah. If you want to jump over to the red side, I'll check the blue side, who are in fact bringing a Veagle too and a Warthog.
There you go. There we have it. The Veagle is Ultra 10s, Plasmas, AP Goss. That's a fun-looking build. Warhog is the usual. We have Dustin Storm in the Arctic Wolf 1 with Serms, full Serms. And then Mandalorian in a Serm Kit Fox. Okay, I like that. So they're just Serm rushing with tanky lights. And I anticipate the Veagle here is going to climb up. That's exactly what he's doing. He is climbing up to get early sights. So they scout these guys coming in. I don't think they've seen them yet.
Give the viewers a bit of a
They
treat.
haven't. Okay, they have seen them. They have seen them. The Kitfox took a little bit of damage from the Veagle. They're both standing up high, the Adder and the Veagle. That's interesting. I would think the Adder would want to screen for the Veagle, but that might be the good play considering they're both SRM rushing. Arctic Wolf down to 84. He's getting farmed pretty hard. That is their focus target. That's the right target to focus. 74% down to 69. He's red already. Oh my goodness, he's almost dead already. And they haven't even gotten into range.
Opened both torsos on that.
He's going to be down very quickly here. They are focusing the Veagle. I think that's the wrong choice. That Warhawk does so much damage, you can't leave it alive, unfortunately. The Veagle is almost dead. Can the Kitfox get him, though? That will be a point for Mandalorian and Dustin Stormer if they do get it. Okay, so the Veagle does go down. The Kitfox is... Yeah, the Kitfox is just about dead. The Adder's one more click, literally one more hit, and the Kitfox is down, and the Adder's still fresh. And there he goes, but they do get the point for killing Alec and the Veagle there. So every point matters because these teams are very close, near the top of their division. So
all the stats.
We do see the Arctic Wolf unfortunately got focused really hard by the Adder and the Veagle. It turned out being really good to have the Adder and the Veagle up there because, I mean, they probably identified very quickly that they were just Serm rushing. So I think that's why they sent the Adder up there. That ended up being really smart. And so, I mean, that Arctic Wolf just got burned to a crisp before he even fired a single shot.
Yeah, the Serm's very much, I think, a skill check or maybe arrogant play. Like, you have to be real confident to take Serms into a light brawl.
I think I agree with that on one hand. On the other, they know that the other side is the high ground, like I was mentioning, and in fact, they did abuse that high ground to pretty much get shots on them from halfway across the map, right? So it's like, what do you do to counter that? You can maybe bring your own counter pick, or you could rush, and they kind of picked the rush option. I don't know if it was the mechs I would have picked, though, because the thing is, right, you have to think about the Kitfox is very slow, relatively speaking, for a light. And I think that Arctic Wolf seemed pretty slow, too, because he wasn't much ahead of the Kitfox, interestingly. But we're done with the 2v2. On to the next 2v2.
So this will be Assault and Medium.
This map is very interesting because it has a lot of boxes. There's two things to know about this map. It has a lot of boxes, which are great for like Pop-Tarts. You know, think about mediums, Veagle, Huntsman, Shadowcat type of deal, and even like Executioner for the Assault. The other thing too is, depending on your game settings, the fog, like there's a lot of fog at the back of the map.
Does the heat difference between the green zone and the blue zone matter?
I don't think it does.
Now, so we have Team 1 locked with the theoretical max tonnage at 135. So I'm guessing probably another Adder and a Stone Rhino.
Well, this is medium, so probably.
Medium.
So
it can't be a 100 tonner. It has to be a something smaller.
Yep. I would like to think the Executioner is the obvious pick here.
Gargoyle, maybe? The thing is, I don't see a world in which you have a choice between a Gargoyle and Executioner on this map, and you don't pick the Exy.
Right. I would agree with that. They could also theoretically take like a Blood Asp or something, sitting all the way far back. That can be good, just hill humping.
Mm-hmm. The like 60R large on the Rancor.
Something like that, or you run the I like the B with Hag 30 in the 4-year large / Goss 4-year large, so you could do something like that too. Probably the Rancor would even be better, but trying to puzzle together. Could even be an Arctic Wolf, honestly. It could genuinely be like an Arctic Wolf. So that would actually be pretty strong on this map because a mecha small as Arctic Wolf, like you can kind of hug the hills.
Yeah, you can
as you close.
You don't peak. Like sure, when you crest the hill, you peak obviously, but you've got pretty much full cover in some of those valleys. Like historically, we've seen a lot of Stone Rhino plus Veagle or Stone Rhino plus Huntsman type stuff.
Yep.
But the tonnage just doesn't match up for Team 1 for that. Team 2 side, we're still waiting. 80 tons they obviously haven't picked.
And I don't think they can play Catgirl because I'm pretty sure it's one person for each of the 1v1s and 2v2s, right? And Catgirl and Elwick, I believe, played in the... Yes, they did. They played in the last 2v2s. They need to swap out Catgirl.
There is also a... there's like a weird exception if you only have... Like if you're shorthanded.
Right.
You can double somebody up, but then you have to play drop 2 shorthanded as well. It's a weird exception in the rules that, frankly, I don't think is going to come up.
I would have to think if... Yeah, so there we see Catgirl's replacement, Stone Fraggle. I'm going to be honest, I don't know who a lot of these guys are. That's shorthand for any. So I'm, I can't really gauge skill level or anything like that, but I'm very curious to see these guys play. So they are locked. We are launching.
Over on the blue team side, we have Slink in an Executioner and Nemesis in the Arctic Wolf.
So there's the Executioner Arctic Wolf. And over on the other side, we have a Mad Cat and a Shadow Cat.
The XE is running 2 large pulse, 6 small pulse, and 6 ER micros, and the Arctic Wolf is running SERMs. 7 SERM 6s and 2 4s.
So we see Notvis and the Shadow Cat running AC-10, 6 AP Goss. Interesting build. I like it, though. And we see Stone Fraggle and the Mad Cat running 2 Hack 30s, 2 ER PPCs. Interesting. That's very hot. That might come up an issue if Nemesis and Slink, how do you say that? End up like just full send pushing.
I've been going with like Slink, assuming it's supposed to be both an I and an L. As they sort of group up. Nemesis definitely spotted Novus. I don't know if they've spotted Stone Fraggle. Well, they have now.
So we do see the Arctic Wolf trying to... they are pushing. I think they are intending to push. The Arctic Wolf is kind of eating a bit of damage, though. Down to 82. He's yellow already. He's taking a lot of damage, actually. Arctic Wolf's taking damage seems to be a theme here. Executioner's down to... They're not even really shooting back. Oh, my goodness. I don't think they know what to do anymore. The Executioner's kind of behind one build, and the Arctic Wolf's kind of behind the other. 79, 5%, yellow and orange. Like, the other two are literally 100%. There's a Shadow Cat dropping the Arctic Wolf. I think that's a bit of a misplay, actually. You don't want to get close to that Arctic Wolf. You want to pull range, but I don't think that really matters. They know the Arctic Wolf is hurt.
I think the thought process is that it's hurt enough that you can dive in and just start finishing.
Yeah, it is right towards those, almost open. Getting shot by the Shadow Cat. Arctic Wolf made it to cover, but the Executioner is super hurt. He's almost halved. The Shadow Cat's meanwhile is completely fresh.
And Stone Fraggle cleaned up the Arctic Wolf on the back half of that fight.
Executioner's halved at this point. He's almost open CT. The Shadow Cat's completely fresh. Mad Cat's 98%. Yeah.
Oh!
Oh! Oh my goodness! He team killed his own Shadow Cat. That Shadow Cat was fresh. They're still going to win the match because the Mad Cat's fresh, but that's a huge misplay. Oh my goodness. And that cost them points too when they're so close in the division standings.
Yeah. What I think what happened there is Novice just caught a round of Stone Fraggle's Daka in the back, and it just
yeah. Oh my goodness. And we do see the Arctic Wolf only got 16 damage, and the Executioner only got 77. It kind of just got farmed as they were closing. Shadowcat 370, Mad Cat 480. Yeah. I don't think they were ready for the Mad Cat to be so high up.
I think a bit of misrouting on the push, too. Like, they could have taken a more aggressive path, ended up basically one building up from where they landed.
Yep. Honestly, I think they should have split that push. I think they would have had a better chance if one went right, one went left, because even if one gets focused, they don't both get focused running through the open.
Now we're off to, now it's called Ruby.
We're off to the 5v5s.
Rubilite of Voices.
So we have kind of seen the 2v2s have been kind of a stomp, honestly, for the Coyotes. So I'm wondering to see if that discrepancy in, I guess, positioning more than anything, positioning and builds, it really seemed like more than anything, if that translates over to this 5v5 here. Interesting thing about Rubilite is you kind of can do a lot of things here. So if you pull up the map, it is Epsilon cap, I believe. Yes, so
there we go.
Like, you can theoretically have mechs all the way back here. You can go along here, even if you're team 2, team 1. Like, you have that whole out of the map area to put mechs on. It's easily rushable, of course, because this is the light drops. You have to expect things like ice ferrets, black lanterns, and incubuses and such. Right? You can, if you're over here, I mean, you could easily, like, team 2 side, just straight up, like that or something like that. Use the big rock by Epsilon and just cut in. Or what? I mean, you can even literally just this whole area of the map through here, the middle. So you could just straight up just do something like that. Literally just come in, and if it's not scouted, that can be absolutely brutal if you're sitting on the outside of the map. So that has to be thought of. But of course, it is the light drop. So I honestly anticipate both will be fully rushing. I would like to anticipate both would be just rushing at each other.
Historically, we've seen 8 adders in the light drop. It seems that teams have kind of settled, or at least at this division, teams kind of settled that the adders are a little too fragile to bring in the heavier drops. But you can just drop 4 of them on the 200 drop.
I would be surprised to see adders, and here's why. They're very slow, and I think speed is important because Rubilite is a big map, and you are having to go to the corner of it. So potentially, if, like, let's just say one side takes adders and one side takes, like, incubus and faster stuff, they could potentially be on the cap it and off by the time the adders get there, and it's like they're gonna have trouble wrestling that cap back. And cap ones aren't a huge deal in this tournament, but it can be if you can't figure out a solution to get on that cap, and just minutes and minutes and minutes pass by. And right, especially because there's the leg drop, you have to think about like getting legged, right? It's very possible to end the game with like 3 or 4 mechs alive, but all legged. And in that case, if you waited too long to get Epsilon, you can still lose on caps. We have actually seen that happen before. So
we've seen a couple of cap losses aside from the bear in the room, if you will.
Yeah.
At least personally, I've seen a lot of teams just straight ignoring the cap and looking for a brawl at the advantageous position. I don't know if that's been matching up to the higher tier experience.
Well, haven't really seen a whole lot from this map, like this kind of side in this format yet. So
at 200 tons, though, probably just 5 40-tonners, unless we do see adder shenanigans. I could see teams maybe trying to tweak it and bring some mislinks so that they could bring, like, I don't know, ice ferrets.
I could definitely see like 4 Vipers and an Arctic Wolf, right? We know that SJBC, they ready up second, right?
Yeah.
So the spawns aren't too different, so it's kind of whatever, but you can at least potentially gauge off the tonnage. For example, we've seen a lot of teams do 4 Vipers and a Jenner 2C, which is 195. So that tells you a little bit that there probably won't be a Jenner 2C if it's 200. So stuff like that.
I'm expecting like fairly heavy brawls with either CERMs or other hit scan weapons. I know, like, some teams have tried to bring laser vomit, and it just hasn't seemed to have gone well.
Mhm. I could anticipate to see like I don't know, laser vomit or even beam incubuses theoretically, because even like a beam incubus sitting from let's just say at right here, if you're team one side, that can shoot all the way down here. So if SJBC, who are going to be team two for this drop, if they're caught with their pants down running through there and a beam incubus gets up there first, it is basically just open season.
Yeah,
for a beam incubus.
You can just farm so much damage.
Right, and I mean, you don't even have to have that much damage to heavily influence a light drop. Honestly, just opening up a leg or two is like you've done your job, and it's going to be very difficult to come back from that, especially if they're all just very short range MG or SRM brawlers.
And like, less so I think with beam lasers compared to something like ER larges. You can still fire beam lasers at 100 meters.
Right, for sure. I'm trying to think. So another thing, I think I anticipate we might see this, and something like this. I would honestly anticipate something like that. Maybe not with a fork there in the end, but the reason being it's very difficult to scout, and if you take fast enough stuff, ice ferrets, etc., black miners, even vipers can do it, etc., you just run straight through that little valley there. And if it's all vipers, you can just jump up there, and if someone's not standing there scouting, then that can be very problematic. We do see both sides locked, though. That was very fast. Team 1 locked, then Team 2 locked, and now we're launching. Very good.
That is one thing I've noticed. Low tiers tend to lock up quite quickly.
That's good, because high tiers don't. Or higher divisions, I should say, do not.
I can reveal my great annoyance about this map, which is that if you get too high trying to get the wide angle, you end up right in the middle of that big soup of sulfur gas.
It's so annoying. Yeah, you can't see anything out of it. They are all connected. We're just loading in. I like the maps where the mechs are on the ground, because then you can look at them before everyone's loaded in. So on this one, for Coyotes, we have two adders. We have an Incubus, we have an Arctic Wolf Blood Kite, interesting, and a Mad Dog.
And
what about for SKBC?
The inverse of what you're expecting from the other side, we have 4 Arctic Wolves and a Viper.
So we do see the SJBC really like their Arctic Wolves, and so a little bit of metagaming. It looks like they're holding right now. Okay, hold is called. They held, so both teams are holding. So if there's a little bit of match metagaming right going on, because there are definitely mechs that are more prominent and more relevant than others, I should say, like Stone Rhinos, for example, in a format like this. And so it's very important, if a team starts burning some of those mechs early, you have to keep track of that. And so if you're Coyotes, you're looking at these 4 Arctic Wolves, regardless of whether you win or lose, and you realize that, okay, they can't have any more Arctic Wolves. So that big, fast, kind of tanky Sturm rushing threat is out of the picture. Conversely, though, right, they only have 1 Viper. So you're counting that Viper, and obviously Vipers are super, super strong. Very interesting, actually, we don't see Coyote bringing any of this drop. They might be planning for next. But so you have to think that SJBC still has 3 Vipers. And then if you're SJBC, you're looking like, okay, these guys didn't bring any Vipers. So just going through the builds a little bit here, we do see Warhog, AP Goss, The Arctic Wolves are all just Serm 6s, Serm 4s. Looks like some are Serm 6s, Serm 2s. A little bit of disparity there. The Viper is 8 regular MGs, 5 small pulse. Pretty strong.
What this says to me is that Coke Jaguar just really wants to brawl.
Yes. And I think we saw that with the Arctic Wolves and the 2v2s. I think that was kind of an omen as to what to come, as they really like that Arctic Wolf. And interesting, Aussie Man in the Blood Kit actually is 2 Hag 20s. I think that's a very strange one, because it doesn't quite have the damage to kill the lights. I think a mech like that, with those high mounts, with those jump jets, with those Hag 20s, would be better off in a later drop, farming like something like like a skull or something, just kind of standing in the open or something like that. I'm not sure if he's going to get much mileage out of those Hags. Very curious to see. We do see the teams going now, though. And the Mad Dog is double Hag 24 heavy smalls. Very interesting. I've not seen that before.
We did see LBX 40 Mad Dogs to some prominence in the late drops on Parathermic Crucible.
Yeah. So we do see the Arctic Wolves kind of going through the middle, and we do see Coyotes just basically taking the Y path to Epsilon as usual, but the Viper is already at Epsilon. We see the speed disparity in their team, right? We see the Viper already at Epsilon. The first that had the Incubus is not quite there. He might be able to deny the cap, though. I didn't quite get to look at his build, but if he has any lasers, he can deny that cap. He's not, though. He did let him get Epsilon for free.
The thing is, though, as soon as they engage, Snowman has to GTFO. Like, he knows
right.
how far away his team is in comparison.
So this is very important, actually, right now. The Arctic Wolves are unscouted. They're completely unscouted. They put no mechs out in front of Coyotes to scout those Arctic Wolves. They're closing completely for free right now. They have no idea. Aussie Men in the Blood Kit might get caught out here. Same for the Mad Dog. If those Arctic Wolves just run in, they're not even looking. Okay, the Mad Dog sees. They do see them, but the Arctic Wolves are already in their face with no damage taken. Novice is by Epsilon. We see Swift Killer by Epsilon running back. Stone Fraggle by Epsilon running back. But Adders are slow, right? The Arctic Wolves are already in the fight, 81%. The Mad Dog's down to 80. Oh, that Mad Dog's just getting swarmed by Storms. He is legged, and he's dead. Look at that. Dead in 10 seconds of basically being spotted. 10, 15 seconds of being spotted. That's a mech out of the fight immediately. That Arctic Wolf Blood Kit seems to be their next focus, 59%. He's going to go down next, and that's 2 mechs out, just gone for SWC.
As the call target, I think he's got an open leg. He's shielding it well.
Right. The Arctic Wolves are starting to take damage. Sync does go down. Dustin Stormer is getting hurt 63%. Mandalorian is also getting hurt 73%. But Notvis is already down in the Adder, and that's literally just the Incubus and the other Adder left. And that's the weakness of Adders, right? Adders can't run from anything. So this Adder, Stone Fraggle, is going to get run down by the Viper and Arctic Wolf. And I think he's going to go down very quickly here. He might kill Mandalorian. Any points is good. He does shut down. That will be all. Yeah, that will be all she wrote.
Yep. And so picked up by Dustin.
This goes down. Stone Fraggle goes down. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the importance of scouting. Scouting 101. You have to be looking for that. They had absolutely zero scouting for that push. And by the time they were even able to react, the Mad Dog was already dead. The Arctic Wolf was severely wounded.
Well, you know what would have saved it for them, too? Just send their Blood Kit, I don't know, 100 meters a little further up, just on the ramp.
Right. Yep, just on the ramp, just ahead, just looking left, just scanning the middle of the map. Just scanning. That's all you have to be doing. Or even arguably the Incubus, which is faster. The issue with the Blood Kit, right, is if you spot them too close, then the Blood Kit can't run, and it dies anyway. But even that would give them more heads up than they have. And we see that reflected from the damage numbers. Stone Fraggle did get a lot of damage in that Adder. Those Warthogs put out a lot of damage very fast, but the rest of his team just got swarmed by Arctic Wolves. Dustin Stormer with 4 kills, very nice. And Mandalorian with that last kill, 342, 385 between the two of them. They got a lot of work in. Sync, kind of the fall guy. Someone's got to be the focus. Someone's always going to get focused, especially in these light drops, and he's going to die fast. And in this case, it was Sync.
Yeah. So we're getting into my favorite tonnage. The 275, I think this is just like peak planned nonsense tonnage, because it's just heavy enough that you can get range strats to work, while still being light enough that you can do the sort of faster brawl.
I agree. And you can start even bringing multiple heavies. You can bring even an assault. You could bring 2 assaults, actually. You honestly could bring 2 assaults. to this drop. And I don't know, I would not, right? And I would not anticipate these guys to do that, but you actually could and get away with it.
Triple onion pushes. I'm actually, if I'm going to make a guess as to what Dust Informer's team is going to bring, it would be that.
I definitely think SJBC has a penchant for rushing. We've seen that in the 2v2s. We've now seen them in the first 5v5. So I would agree with you. I would anticipate Skulls. I think Skulls are strong on this map because Skulls are kind of that mech where it's tanky enough and fast enough to kind of do whatever it wants, be wherever it wants to be. And whatever weapons you put on it is like, you put 3 PPCs LB20, you kind of have mid-range threat and you have brawl threat. You can even do a sniping build. You could do a mix. You could do a full rushing build. You could literally just do like heavy lasers and a hag and just run at people with a 90 alpha and just crush them, right? Yeah. There's a lot of things you can do with a Skull. So
the other one that I'm looking at is, of course, the Stone Rhino team, or the Stone Rhino, the Sun Spider D. That UAC build.
Yep.
Admittedly, I'm slightly biased. I ran it, didn't quite work. The sister team, 2D20 Scallywags, has run it. I think the range of the UAC 2s is really, really nice with how open the high ground on Ruby can get.
I agree, it can be, for sure. I would worry about a light rush on that because you can still bring lights, right? You can still bring ferrets, you can still bring lanners. You could literally bring ferrets, lanners, voids, Hellfire Void, and skulls, and just fill your deck with that. And so you have an entire deck going 130 plus, or 110, 120, 130 plus.
Linebacker is another consideration for that sort of
absolutely. And I don't know that a Sun Spider is even fast enough because we saw in that match, right? They were lacking on their scouting. Coyotes was. So, and they were slow. So, like, they were kind of barely out of their spawn, almost, when the Arctic Wolves were already halfway across the map.
Yeah. It's actually just coming up on, I've caught the replay, if you will. And they had just reached the first sort of plateau. I think it's Fox 6.
Right.
Or Fox 4, when they get jumped on.
And you can see the adders are a little further ahead. They made it to Epsilon, but only just. And again, it's adders, so like, yeah, they got there, and then they have to plod all the way back. And it's like, the one weakness of AP Gauss adders, they don't have that much range. They don't have super crazy range. So if they're all the way back by Epsilon as they were, they have to push close to those Arctic Wolves to really get a lot of damage on them. And we kind of see that right now as they're just getting chewed up by Arctic Wolves.
The other thing too is that like the adder is not a tanky light. It's 35 tons and it has disgusting amount of DPS. But once it gets focused, it goes down very quick as
absolutely
walks up. Charlie Bravo spawns.
So we do see SJBC locked at 275. If I had to make a guess, I think they're going to use more of those Vipers. So they might even lean heavier, right? Because they have 3 Vipers left. And, I mean, 3 Vipers is
120.
Exactly. So they could... Honestly, they have enough tons to take, like, 2 assaults. They actually could take 2 assaults. We could see that.
Locked. My prediction for them is actually triple onion and 2 mislinks.
That would be... I would love to see that. That would be awesome to see.
Like, we've seen this team want to brawl in every drop that they've played.
Right.
I don't see that pattern changing.
Just waiting for everyone to connect and the dropships to come in.
In theory, you can like jet yourself out all the way out and like eke into the dropship. Rarely worth it in my experience.
I guess so.
Personally, I think that's why I'm a fan of Canyon as a caster, because the mechs are just sitting there powered down. I have plenty of time to click on them and get the builds.
Right, Viridian's the same. So we do see from SJBC, Team 1, we see 3 linebackers, A Jenner 2C and an Ice Ferret P. Interesting. I don't think that has the mask. Unless I'm mistaken, because isn't the mask CT locked in the J? I might be wrong on that one.
I believe it is for the Ice Ferret.
So that's very interesting. And
Kobold Commander is in a Night Jeer, the Jade Kite with a PVC and 2 Gauss 30. Stone Fraggle following up in another Night Jeer Hotel. This one also same build.
Interesting. Yeah, and Black Lantern and 2 Warthogs. So there's their complement of Warthogs taken away, burned in the light drops, which is, where, as you mentioned earlier, where you'd want to see them burn. But I'm not sure about the Nitures. I don't want to spell doom, but I think this could be a very similar situation, again, to where the Nitures are just, they're not far enough ahead of SJBC's push. And if they don't scout this...
They'll get there too late to support the receive, or they'll get caught behind and take
Right. Now, they do have the better side. As we can see, the Warhogs and the Black Lantern are kind of just... They're actually not really scouting. They're scouting a little bit. I think the Lantern needs to be more ahead. The Lantern needs to be pushed way further for scouting, I think. I don't think they really see these guys.
They're more just trying to peek if Epsi is being pressured.
Right.
And
I think that's a
waiting for their fire support.
And I think that's a mistake, because if these linebackers just kind of keep sending it, they will send it into the Jeers, and those Jeers are screwed. They're super slow getting into position, those Jeers. I like the pick on the Jeers, and we do see that's kind of what SJBC is looking to do, right? They are piling on that corner, and if they run straight down at those Jeers, I think that Ice Ferret's going to see the Jeers. That Ice Ferret will see the Jeers. So they are going to know where they are.
Yep.
And SJBC will likely be not far behind. The Jeers have no idea. They did not see that Ferret, because none
if they turn around, they have a decent receive. But they need to see it and turn around.
Okay, so I think they probably saw the Ice Ferret now, or they saw the Jenner. Looks like they did. They're turning around. This is decent, because they did manage to pull a lot of range. SJBC did stall, unsure of where they were. They didn't have the best scouting themselves. They're not pushing that. That's smart. That's really smart from SJBC. Do not push into like a 600-meter choke point where they're just going to get farmed to death.
Where you have these giant crystals for cover.
Absolutely. It's unfortunate they have the timing. If they were a little bit better on their scouting, they could have made a better guess as to what Coyotes were doing and pushed sooner, and they could have caught those Jeers.
And sure enough, they're coming down the far side.
But the Jeers are where they want to be, though. The Jeers are where they want to be. SJBC is doing a good job putting that big crystal in front of them between the Jeers. So the Jeers aren't getting great shots, but they still have a lot of ground to close where they're just going to be eating damage. And those Jeers do pump really hard with those hack 30s.
Snowman caught a whole lot of that on the torso there.
So we do see the Jenner, 3 linebackers coming. We see the Ice Ferret going the other direction, kind of a distraction. I think that's good. That is positive.
Squirrel them.
But they are kind of in the Nitures' faces already. They haven't taken that much damage, but the damage is going to start piling fast. The Jenner is tanking. I don't think that's smart. The Jenner is very squishy. It should be coming from the side. The Jenner is going to go down in just a second here. The Jenner does go down, but they kill Kobold Commander instantaneously with those storms. They just evaporate his leg off. Super good. And they're going to get Stone Fraggle. He does go down. They still haven't lost a mech, so they're up in the mech trade. Percentages aren't too bad. Dustin Stormer is getting focused, though. He's going to go down quickly. Aussie Man goes down. Oh, Aussie Man goes. That's really bad. So Dustin Norman does go down, but it's 3 versus 2, and it's 2 adders. It's 2 adders versus 2 linebackers and a ferret. I don't think the adders can win this in any universe. They just don't have the durability to tank all the storms coming at them.
No way. I just want to call out Snowman there. Being able to squirrel away the entire light pack. Really, that's what won them that push.
Yes. It absolutely contributed heavily to that. Their lights all turn for that Ice Ferret. If they're going to turn on the Ferret, they have to kill it. And we do see self-destruction by Cacro and Novice in the adders, overheating from those AP Goss, and that is going to be all she wrote. Oh my goodness. SJBC pulling it out. I love to see these pushes.
That's been... I don't want to say they're a one-note team. We have seen them play other strategies, but they have been very, very good at these sort of brawl pushes.
I think...
The Devi matches that we've cast.
Coyotes is just not ready. They're bringing Nitures. They're bringing Hag Mad Dog, Hag Arctic Wolf. They're not ready to just be ran at with these speed and these serms, I think. And that's, I mean, we saw how it turns out. It's a mistake because this map is easy to do the shenanigans that SJBC is doing, and you have to be on top of your scouting to stop it. And Coyotes just have not been, unfortunately. Just the damage is very low to be expected since it's just a bunch of linebackers running and focusing legs. The Nitures, just even though like they were kind of on the edge of the map, like I was talking about earlier, they did make it to that edge. They still just did not get the damage out, unfortunately. 209 and 197. You just don't want to see that from 150 of your 275 tons or 375. No, 275.
One thing I will say for Coyotes here, it's clear someone on their team is doing some interesting theory crafting. They're just not taking it quite as far as they need to.
I agree. I think if they're going to be running these slow assets like these Nitures, you have to have screening and scouting for them. Just period as a default, like the Mad Dog, like that Blood Kit.
And now we're off to Canyon Network, where I got mildly embarrassed because we were talking about the last match. It was a European team, and I said there were no canyons like this in Europe. I've been informed that apparently northern Spain and southern France have some canyons that look like Canyon Network.
I would not know, but I would believe it.
So my apologies to our European fan base.
Canyon is very interesting. Now we start getting to 375, where we're definitely going to start, like, these teams haven't played any of their assaults. They haven't played they haven't, like Skulls. They haven't played Voids. They haven't played, honestly, a lot of the mechs I thought they would play, really, by this point.
I'm expecting Summoners for drop 4. You can bring 4 Summoners as an Executioner.
I can see that. We saw Summoners come from, I think it was Mantra earlier in the day against DSC. They'd had, I believe, 2 Summoners. So I could definitely see that. Summoners do play well on Canyon Network, and they fill tons, which can be important if you want to run like a bunch of, I don't know, like a bunch of light mixers or something like that. Like triple Blacklanders, double Summoners, something of that variety.
Yeah. And this will be the 375 tonnage drop. As the teams get sorted out here. Still surprisingly close. It's only a 6-point lead for Cyrizars at the minute.
Yep. And so just kind of looking at how these two teams have played in these 2v2s and these 5v5s, it seems like Coyotes are very much a range team. They're not acclimated with the idea of just getting ran at, which SJBC has abused very heavily in these 5v5s. They're just not ready for the speed and aggression that SJBC is bringing. So I really think that they need to change it up. But if they don't, I would like to see things like Stone Rhinos, Executioners, decent counter brawl mechs. Like the Nitures, the sort of Hagier large stuff that they're bringing, it's not going to cut it, I don't think, against a team like SJBC. They need to be adapting on the fly here, and they need to be adjusting to the fact that SJBC just, they're going
to speed brawl them.
Right, they're very rush heavy, they're very aggressive.
Now, I don't know if this is necessarily good, but I have seen Riflemen receive and drop 4.
I can definitely see that.
You're spamming, I think it's the UAC-2 Rifleman? Or not UAC, pardon me, LBX-2.
I can totally see that, because if we look at Coyotes, right, and as they do lock up here, we look at Coyotes real quick. On the bridge, you have bridge, you have nest, you have sort of this hill, you can even perch somebody back here, you can perch somebody there. There's a lot of places to perch people, and there's plenty of room for 4 riflemen to be standing as tall as possible, just something in front of them to maybe screen or scout or whatever, and just burn down a sort of heavy / assault push. I could totally see something like that being done.
Now, of course, the active point is Kappa, so we will probably see some bias towards the sort of 2-line, 3-line. But like, even if you park yourself in like the Farside Echo 2, you have a lot of wide corridors. Sure, there's that protrusion in Delta 2 that blocks access to Kappa directly. But if you want to play the range game and you can get to that area fast enough, you can still set up.
Right. And I would like to see Coyotes mix it up and throw in a push. I think that's pretty easy from Team 1 side. Like, you can easily send it down Epsilon. If it's not scouted, you can catch people here, all around. You can even come right up through here across, catch people there. You can even run through that valley because it's a 5v5. You can afford to do that. You could straight push through Kappa. There are many push angles through this map. And I would really, I think Team 1 is very good for those push angles. Team 2 is good too. It's a very even map, generally speaking, Kenya Network. It's pretty even, but
teams have locked up as we load into match.
Excellent.
But yeah, like Delta 4, Delta 3, there's a pair of canyons there that you can push into. I will jet over to the blue side while you read the red side.
So, we see Coyote. They have a Nitro, 2 Mad Cat 1s, a Warhammer 2CA, interesting, and a Arctic Wolf Bloodkite.
So check the build on that Warhammer. Give you 3 letters to guess.
I cannot, but I can guess PPC.
ATM.
ATM Warhammer. Oh, I like that, actually. I would have thought you would bring a Howl, because a Howl is 5 less tons, and I think it generally does it better, jumps faster, better quirked, higher mounts, but I like to see the ATMs. It is a good counter push solution if the enemy doesn't run quickly at the ATMer.
And then from the other side, we have a pair of Onions running slightly different variants of the Brawl build. It is the Onion 2CA after all. We have Dutz Informer in the Executioner, the same build we saw last time. And the Mandalorian in a Howl, but not ATMs. He's running a LBX 20 and 4 Serm 6.
Awesome. We do see that Blood Kit for Novice is running 2 Hag 20s. They really like that mech, apparently. We do see Aussie Man, as you said. Oh, that's... Actually, it's a little different than ATMs. It has an AC5, 3 mediums, a 6, a 9, and a 12. That's interesting. So we do see the Mad Cat 1, double Hag 30, double PPC. The Nitro, double Hag 30, double ER large. ECM, interesting. I don't think you need that, but it's kind of free, so why not? And then the other Mad Cat, double Hag 30, quad ER large. So Coyotes are ready to trade, but are they ready to receive a push? Their mechs heat cap very quickly, and I don't think they have the burst to stop this massive block of armor, if you will, coming from SJBC with a double Onions Executioner Howl.
Novice is going to spot it out.
So they do scout the push. That's good, but the push is already in their face. So you do see the Mad Cats and the Warhammer plus the Nitro are ready to start getting shots. They are getting shots on. They're kind of just farming them there in the canyon, which is good, but just not a lot of damage going out. Still, X is at 90%. Yeah, still, everybody else is 90 or above.
Novice is getting caught in a little fight, and it looks like he's just going to have the entirety of Cyrazars on him. Oh,
hopefully they don't turn. Okay, that Shadowcats look good. We do see the Shadowcat for Snowman coming behind Novice. He needs to do that. The Executioner for Justin Tormer, though, is getting burned down very quick from this focused Mad Cat Nitro fire. He's going to go down here. Self-destruction. He is dead. But Stone Fraggle and the Mad Cat is almost dead. Himself, 40%. He is going to go down any second here. He is done. Another self-destruction. We do see this heat really playing for these mechs. Percentages are still pretty even right now.
Aussie Man, the call
Aussie Man is down very quickly now. Warhammer. The Nitro is going to be next. 62%. SJBC isn't really losing much right now. Alec and Lone Wolf. There we go. Lone Wolf does go down. Alec's going to be next. And it's just going to be Novice. And they still haven't killed an SJBC mech. Oh my goodness.
They picked up Dustin Farmer.
And Novice has an Orion and another Orion in front of him. We do see Snowman, the Shadowcat, does self-destruct. That gives a point to Coyotes, but self-destruction by Mad Cat. There's a theme here. All these guys are overheating themselves. You get the theme here. Like, these guys are way too hot to be receiving this type of push. Now, they do bring it down relatively close. Mandalorian, 72%. Yellow in the Timber. Sync, 70% in the Orion. But pretty close is not close enough. They, again, did not have the mechs to receive this aggressive push. They're bringing these stupidly hot trading mechs. They overheat in like 10 seconds of shooting against this push, and they're not getting the damage out.
They're not able to find the firing line that gets them enough time to deal the damage they need to deal to that sort of fast push.
I really think they should have been further back with those Mad Cats. I really, really, really do. They should have at least had 1 or 2, something Nitro Mad Cat, doesn't matter, on that bridge. And yeah, that will be another... a very nice win to SJBC. Well played.
5-3.
And we do see, looking at the damages, Uzi Man, I think it's his name. His Warhammer just didn't get the damage out, unfortunately, only 57. His build was a little awkward, though. It seemed like it was kind of tuned for multiple ranges. Unfortunately, it just, it's a Warhammer 2C as well. That mech is super squishy in a brawl, so they probably saw his ATMs, rightfully so, and just like, kill this guy before he farms this. That's smart to do, while the Mad Catch and the Nitro just heat cap. And you do see Stone Fraggle only 270. The Mad Cat for Elic and Nitro did get good damage, and Nofis in the Arctic Wolf 465, but, I mean, you see even more damage coming out from SJBC. Their Howl did 699, Orion 667. So, they just ran out of heat.
So if you were going to have to receive that sort of brawl push, what tweak would you build? Or what tweaks would you make if you were Coyotes? Assuming you still want to do the receive.
They have to incorporate counter push mechs, and that single Warhammer with the ATMs, AC5 mediums, that's not sufficient. I would like to have two. I would even like to have like a Stone Rhino potentially. Like that's a great anchor mech, even a Colossus.
UAC 2 Onion even, or UAC 10 Onion.
I could see that, definitely. I could again, I could see the Riflemans like we talked about earlier. You are pretty spoiled for choice, especially because these guys didn't burn a lot of in my opinion are some of the stronger mechs. They're burning a lot of some of their weaker mechs.
Yeah.
So they do, like, for example, coming into this last drop here, they have all their Stone Rhinos.
Yeah.
And I really, really hope Coyote realizes that SJBC has all the Rhinos. And this is important because Coyote is on the losing side of things. They need to take this drop to even up the points a little bit. And so you have to think, okay, these guys have literally Brawl Rush just every single drop, and now they have 4 Colossus. What are they going to do? They're going to Brawl Rush. You have to think about that being Coyotes and be like, okay, we're going to have Stone Rhinos too. Let's take some Daka Rhinos. Let's take Colossus of our own. You can mix it up. Double Colossus, double range,
Kodiak 3s.
Potentially even, I wouldn't do that because they have I wouldn't think they would do that because they have all those Stone Rhinos up.
Yeah.
But it is an option for sure. Axum, that's a great option. I haven't seen either of these teams play yet, and I would anticipate Coyotes to bring in Axum.
There's a really nasty, I think it's UAC 2s. Like it's almost like the Daka Wolf, right?
Right.
So it looks like Coyotes, they haven't locked or anything, but they're sitting there at 450. Now, exact tonnage on this drop almost makes me not nervous, but I expect a lot of times 400 tonners and the Shadow Cat.
Right, and we're not seeing that. That's a staple. We've even seen that in all sorts of higher division matches where it's almost always those 400 tonners and a Shadow Cat.
Yeah.
It's very rare to see a deviation from that. It's just super common. So both sides of all their Stone Rhinos. I'm worried for SJBC because, I'm worried for Coyote, but I mean, they're at 450 now, but obviously that doesn't really mean anything because they lock second, right?
Yeah.
So they are at their tonnage now, but we have seen these guys lock very fast. It seems like they kind of sit at their tonnage and then lock.
It's rare to see the mind game with lances and tonnage, mostly because, like, on Canyon, oh, gee, they're launching Alpha Bravo or Alpha Charlie. Distance is like, what, 50 meters?
Right, that's a good point. So the mind games more come to tonnage on this map. Even Rubelite, too, because they're on Rubelite. The spawns are pretty close to each other. So they're a couple hundred meters apart at best. So
part of the reason I think Kodiaks, we may see them make an appearance is, in this division, we do have a lot of newer players who may have, like, saved up and bought the Kodiak and simply haven't committed to getting a Stone Rhino.
Right.
Similarly, we've seen a lot of dire whales. Despite, I think, pretty much, well, with the exception maybe the ER build, I think the Stone Rhino just outclasses the dire wolf for comp in a lot of ways.
It does, generally speaking.
Which, I don't know, that just makes me feel even worse for the Warhawk. Because it was already a worse dire wolf. Now it's just an even worse Stone Rhino.
The Warhawk's in a strange position. It's more of a DPS-orientated trade assault, which is kind of strange because you'd rather just take, I think, a full trade assault most of the time and then make up the DPS elsewhere rather than taking a strange hybrid, which is kind of what the Warhawk is.
Yeah. Now, I do think one thing about the, not the Kolos, the Axum. Are you familiar with Monster Hunter? Have you played that game before?
Little, not much.
Okay, there's an item in Monster Hunter called the Rocksteady Mantle. And what it does is
Uh-huh.
it keeps you from being staggered or having to play any of your damage animations. You still
Right.
take the damage, but you just get to keep doing whatever it was you were doing.
Right.
And I feel like the Axum, especially for less skilled or less practiced pilots, can be that sort of crutch, where because you don't take the cockpit shake, it's very easy to get caught taking these poor trades, because you don't have the same kinetic feedback showing that you're taking damage.
Right, for sure. And that could be relevant if SJVC wants to bring an XM, because it seems like Coyotes like to stack trade, they like to stack range. So I would like to think they're going to stack DACA. And if you take an Axum against DACA, it definitely does help to have that no screen shake. It does help you with your return fire, especially at long range, to your point.
Yeah. But no, it's been, despite being relatively, the big thing is just that Coyotes have been getting caught with their proverbial pants down.
Yeah. They're just not ready for the aggression SJBC has to bring, and they have not adapted over 3 drops. I really, really, really would like to see them adapt after this 4th drop. I think it's super clear how SJBC likes to play at this point. And with access to 4 Colossus, like, the jig is up. If you're Coyotes, you really need to be considering that.
But that's also something you can learn. It's not like we're seeing Coyotes, like, sure, they're making these sort of macro mistakes, but they're not really making pilot brain dead mistakes in that same way.
For sure. No, so both these guys play smart. They play smart. They know what they're doing. They know what they need to do. But again, I think just a Coyote is not prepared for the speed at which these rushes come. Again, we saw them. Their scouting very lacking in the first drop. They did get their scouting good in the second drop, but they did not have the damage to burn up those linebackers as they were coming in.
I really want to see how they do in a pure trade game. If they can learn how to receive properly, and they're as skilled traders as they are building their decks to assume they are,
right?
That makes them a really nasty team, especially as they sort of rise into the mid card.
Yeah, I agree. And coming in here, I know nothing about either of these two teams, so
you're down in the soup now. The team one walks up at 450. Looks like the Coyotes have switched to the Shadowcat. They're down to 445.
And we see Team 2 just lock that fast afterwards. That's wild to me.
Yeah, for better or for worse, down here in the soup, we tend not to take the time and go through the strat contemplations. It's just go, go, go.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are ready fast, so we'd love to see it. So, loading here real quick. We do see from SJBC, we do see 2 Xes. We see a linebacker. We see 3 Xes. 3 Xes, linebacker, and a stone rhino. Okay, interesting.
Very, shockingly similar coming out of Coyotes here. They have a direwolf, a linebacker, a mad cat, and 2 Xes. The direwolf is AC5s.
I like that. I do like the sounds of that.
Linebacker is Serms and Small Balls. Mad Cat is ER Larges and Hag 30s. And then the one Executioner is Hero Brawl with an LBX and Serms.
Interesting.
And the other one is 3 RPPCs and 10 micro. I can tell you from experience that's a very toasty build on this map.
Yeah. And especially against a predicted receive. Hopefully predicted receive. So we do see Nemesis in LB20, 6 Serm 6, Stone Rhino, Colossus, very classic. We do see, scroll through here. So we do see the linebacker, Snowman is 4 SRM 6 and 4 heavy smalls. We do see Mandalorian's Executioner, small pulse, large pulse, and micros. Very similar to the one they brought in the 2v2, I suspect. And we see Sync's XE the exact same. And then we see Dust and Storm's XE the exact same. So they're ready to just rip it up with those pulse lasers. We'll have to see, really, I think, this match, if Coyotes can make that Dire put out damage. If they can get that Dire's damage spitting before they just get overrun.
It does set up as a bit of an anchor for the receive here.
So I saw shots from Alex Madcat at somebody. So the Shadow Cat, I believe. Yeah, he did hit the Shadow Cat a little bit. So, or the linebacker. Sorry, the linebacker. What am I even saying? The linebacker. So they do know there's a linebacker. That should give them a clue. And there's the clue. The Executioners are storming through the valley. They're just full sending it. The Dire has perfect lanes on this. This might be really bad for SJBC. Might. Nothing's really dying yet, though, but the counter brawl from Coyotes is coming in really good here. They're kind of screening out these brawlers with these counter brawlers because SJBC can't run past them necessarily and get to the Dire. Well, the Dire's just pumping out damage. Look at the percents on Coyotes. Oh my goodness, they're not taking any damage. Dustin Stormer's Executioner, is almost down. He's going to be down in just a second here. Sync's Executioner is going to be next on the docket for being killed here. Kakarot's Executioner is taking damage, but Kakarot does go down before the first mech of SJBC goes down. There it is. Self-destruct by Dustin Storm. Those Xes are pretty hot, especially when they start losing Tauruses. But Mandalorian's Xe soon after to be done. Aussie-Man's linebacker will be next, but I think it's really tricky for SJBC. They kind of just got
untouched.
Yeah, they kind of got nuked out by the Dire a little bit here. And we do see the last Xe is going to go down, Sync and that Xe, and it's just going to be a Colossus and a linebacker left. We do see Aussie-Man does go down. Every point matters here with these guys being as close as they are in the divisions. Nemesis he's not long for this world. He's getting nuked by, I think, the Dire. Yeah, the Dire is just nuking out that Colossus. The Dire's just having a field day farming him, in fact.
Yep.
And there he goes. Cobalt Commander does kill Nemesis. It's just Snowman. Coyote is relatively hurt. The Dire's relatively hurt. The Mad Cat's relatively hurt, but Noctis and the Executioner is still very fresh and can tango with Snowman.
Yeah, they may pick up Alec here. Yeah, they do.
He does kill Alec, but the linebacker's lagged. Snowman is lagged. That's going to be the end of it, likely.
Yeah.
There he goes. See, that's what I like to see from Coyote. They realize, hey, these guys just rush us. Let's bring some DACA. Let's bring some SERMs of our own. Let's bring some counter brawl elements. They did that. They didn't just stack up on traders, and there you go. It worked very well for them. That's what we like to see, that min-match adaptation.
Field day. Like, that has got to be the most fun you can have in golf, because he was just
absolutely. He just stood there and just melted those Xes, and he got to melt the Stone Rhino. Cobalt Commander had a very good game there, likely.
Yeah, we'll see if he cracks 1,000 damage when we hit the score sheet.
And very well played. Two Coyotes bringing those points back. And we do see Cobalt Commander 968 damage. Nemesis, really good work. 777. Lucky number of the day for that Colossus. But we see the rest of them, just the Xes, didn't really get that much damage out, unfortunately. 144, 214, 305. Linebacker did get some nice damage. 2 kills, 393. But we just see the damage much higher for Coyotes. And that really kind of tells you the story of this match.
Yeah, and that brings our final points total to... Pull out my sheet here. So it'll be 17 points for the Coyotes, 23 points for Ristars.
Not bad. I mean, considering that Coyotes lost, they lost all 5 of their mechs in those first 3 drops, right?
So
that's 15 points.
2 points up, they're now 3 points down.
Right. So there you go. That just kind of changes the standings right then and there. So, but they did a good job to bring it back with that last match. That was super clean, super nice. They played that almost perfectly. I think I would have maybe liked the Dire a little further away, but really it was perfectly fine. Like, it was really nice. They had those anti-brawl elements. It's very important. A lot of teams make this mistake. They bring anti-brawl stuff, and they have it sitting next to the mechs they're trying to screen. That doesn't work because you don't stop the brawlers from killing who needs to be killed. In this case, it was the Dire who had to die.
What
The
you need
big
to
counter.
do is you need to cosplay as the Canadians in World War II. You set up a big
Exactly.
old trench of infantry to get slaughtered by the charging dudes, and then you have an arty piece lobbing shells at them. And sure, you might
Exactly.
get some war crimes, but
And all those counter brawl elements, pretty much what it was. Everyone was counter brawl except for Alex Madcat and Cobalt Commander's Direwolf,
Mhm.
and it was super nice. So they all like positioned right to blunt their push while the Dire just farmed. Madcat got his damage, and that's all she wrote.
So that brings us to the end of the cast today. In 2 hours, we have your match, in fact,
There we go.
which I will be casting with Ralphie here on MechWarrior Leagues 2.
Fantastic.
Yeah, this has been great. Good to have you out, and yeah, we'll see everyone in 2 hours for the Div A.
Fantastic.
The crown jewel of our matches today.
Thank you everybody for watching, and thank you for having me.
Bye!